Good evening. I'm bringing you a special investigative report tonight that will chill you to your core. A story buried in the archives of 19th century Bavaria. A story of betrayal, manipulation, and calculated murder. Her name was Anna Margaretha Zwanziger, but history would come to know her by another name, the German Brinvilliers. Between 1808 and 1809, this seemingly respectable widow worked as a housekeeper in the homes of Bavarian judges. But behind her pious demeanor and excellent reputation lurked something far more sinister. She carried with her what she called her truest friend, arsenic. Tonight, we investigate the woman who poisoned her way through Bavaria's most respected households, a woman who would nurse her victims back to health only to poison them again, a woman who, even on the eve of her execution, admitted she could never stop. This is the story of Anna Zwanziger. To understand how Anna Zwanziger became one of Germany's most notorious serial killers, we must go back to her beginning. Born Anna Schönleben on August 7, 1760, in Nuremberg, Germany, her childhood was marked by tragedy. By the age of 5, both her parents were dead. She was passed between family members like an unwanted burden for the next 5 years, but there was a glimmer of hope. At age 10, a wealthy guardian took her in and provided her with a decent education. It seemed Anna's fortunes were changing. They weren't. At just 15 years old, Anna was married off in an arranged marriage to a 30-year-old lawyer named Zwanziger. He was a drunk, an abusive bully who squandered her inheritance on alcohol and gambling. Contemporary accounts describe Anna as ugly, stunted, without attraction of face, figure, or speech. Some even compared her appearance to a toad. But it was her marriage that truly destroyed her. As Zwanziger's alcoholism worsened, he became unable to work. The family fell into poverty. Anna, desperate to support herself and her 2 children, turned to prostitution. But even in this degrading profession, she maintained what she called her standards. She claimed to only service judges and men in powerful positions, an interesting detail considering who her future victims would be. The marriage was toxic. Anna left Zwanziger at one point to be with a lover, but he manipulated her into returning. They eventually divorced, only to remarry the very next day. He had a psychological hold over her that she couldn't break. In 1796, Zwanziger died suddenly. Some historians speculate Anna may have helped him along. She was 33 years old, alone and responsible for 2 children. She tried to open a store. It failed. She fell back into prostitution, became pregnant, and gave the baby up for adoption. The child died in an orphanage. This is when something inside Anna Zwanziger broke. By her 40s, Anna Zwanziger had become a different person. The years of abuse, poverty, and humiliation had twisted her psyche into something dangerous. She entered domestic service out of necessity, but she despised it. In her own words from her prison autobiography, she would laugh and cry in one breath when employers gave her orders. She would smile respectfully, leave their presence, then deliberately neglect their commands. She couldn't maintain employment anywhere for long. Anna became embittered, delusional. She believed she was above menial work, yet she desperately needed money. Most troubling of all, she began to believe that she deserved to be the mistress of these grand houses, not the maid, and she was willing to kill to make it happen. According to her own confession, her transformation into a murderer had a specific trigger. She wrote about attempting suicide after a lover rejected her. She cut her arm, showed him the blood, and he laughed. She threw herself into a river, was rescued by fishermen, and sent her wet clothes to him as proof of her despair. He sent them back with money and told her to leave town. In her autobiography, she wrote, "When I opened the vein in my arm, he laughed. And when I reminded him that I was not the first woman that had killed herself on his account, he laughed too. Henceforth, whenever I did anybody a mischief, I said to myself, nobody shows me mercy, and I will show none to others." A devil had entered her heart, and she found her weapon, arsenic, the truest friend she would ever have. But Anna Zwanziger was patient, calculating. She spent years carefully rebuilding her reputation in the Oberland region as a quiet, pious, hardworking woman, a skilled knitter and housekeeper. She was 50 years old when opportunity finally knocked on her door. On March 5, 1808, Justice Wolfgang Glaser visited Anna's home in Pegnitz, Bavaria. He had a proposition. He'd recently separated from his wife and needed a housekeeper to tend his home. Anna accepted immediately. But here's where the story takes its first dark turn. Almost as soon as Anna arrived, she began working on something unexpected, reconciling Glaser with his estranged wife. She wrote letters to Frau Glaser. She enlisted friends on both sides to help. She even sent money to a Catholic priest, despite being Protestant herself, to have a mass said for the success of her pious work. Why would a housekeeper work so hard to bring back the wife of a man she hoped to marry? The answer is chilling. Anna wasn't trying to help. She was setting the stage for murder. In July 1808, Frau Glaser finally agreed to return. Despite being a strong, healthy woman, she had terrible premonitions. In a letter to her relatives, she wrote, "I cannot describe what I feel. There is a struggle within my heart that I am unable to account for. Can it be a forewarning of evil?" It was. Anna prepared an elaborate welcome. The entire village gathered. The house was decorated with garlands. The marital bed was strewn with flowers, with a couplet hanging from the curtains that read, "The widow's hand has wove the band," an indelicate touch, an almost mocking gesture, but no one questioned it. Frau Glaser arrived on July 22, 1808. For exactly 4 weeks, she appeared to settle into her rekindled marriage. Then suddenly she fell violently ill. She suffered intense vomiting, diarrhea, severe abdominal pain, and nausea. The symptoms were relentless. For 5 weeks, she writhed in agony. On August 26, 1808, Frau Glaser died. But Justice Glaser still didn't propose to Anna, so on September 25th, she quietly left his employment. She had gotten away with murder, and now she had a taste for it. Anna's next position was with Justice Groman in Sanspareil. He was only 38 years old, but he suffered from chronic poor health and frequent gout attacks. Anna was perfect for him. She nursed him with extraordinary devotion. Under her care, he would recover, only to fall sick again soon after. A pattern was emerging. In the spring of 1809, Anna believed Groman would finally propose to her. She'd earned his trust. She'd cared for him. Surely he would make her mistress of his household. But then Groman announced his engagement to another woman. He had just signed his own death warrant. Shortly after the engagement announcement, Groman was struck with a sudden violent illness, diarrhea, vomiting, severe abdominal pain that lasted 11 excruciating days. Anna never left his bedside. Witnesses described her as inconsolable, weeping and wailing as he suffered. On May 8, 1809, Justice Groman died. Because of his pre-existing health conditions, his death was ruled natural causes. No investigation was opened, no autopsy performed. Anna Zwanziger had killed again, and once more she'd gotten away with it. Her tears at his deathbed, likely tears of rage that he'd rejected her, or perhaps tears of pleasure at the power she wielded. She needed a new position, and she found one quickly. Frau Gebhard, wife of Justice Gebhard, had heard of Anna's excellent reputation. She was pregnant and needed help during her confinement. On May 13, 1809, just 5 days after Groman's death, Anna arrived at the Gebhard household. The baby was born healthy. Both mother and daughter were well for 3 days. Then Frau Gebhard suddenly fell violently ill. The same symptoms, profuse vomiting, severe diarrhea, completely bedridden. On May 20th, 1809, just 7 days after giving birth, Frau Gebhard died. Her final words spoken directly to Anna were, "Merciful heaven, you have given me poison. Let that sink in." A dying woman's final words were an accusation of murder. But because Frau Gebhard had suffered from poor health during her pregnancy, authorities ruled her death natural. Anna Zwanziger had now killed 3 people in just 10 months. But she wasn't done. By now, whispers were circulating. People were beginning to notice a pattern. Everywhere Anna went, people died or became mysteriously ill. But no one spoke up. Not yet. Anna remained in Justice Gebhard's employ, now caring for his infant daughter. And this is when her poisoning became indiscriminate, reckless. On August 25, 1809, Justice Gebhard hosted a dinner. His two guests, Mr. Beck and Mr. Alberti, both fell violently ill after eating. A messenger who stopped by and had a single glass of wine also became sick. A porter named Johnny Kraus stopped by for a glass of port. He took one small sip, noticed a white sediment in the glass, and, having heard the rumors about Anna, refused to drink more. That single sip was enough to make him violently ill. Kitchen maid Barbara Waldman became sick after drinking coffee prepared by Anna. Still, nothing was done. No one had actually seen Anna poison anything. Then came September 1st, 1809. Justice Gebhard invited 5 friends over for an evening of skittles and beer. After the game, all 5 guests and Gebhard himself fell ill. His guests had had enough. They urged Gebhard to dismiss Anna immediately. The next day, September 2nd, he reluctantly let her go. But he gave her excellent references and treated her generously. Anna expressed grief at leaving, especially at parting from her beloved little charge, the baby she'd been nursing. On September 3rd, 1809, Anna Zwanziger performed one final act before leaving the Gebhard household. Kitchen maid Barbara Waldman watched as Anna went to the cellar, took the salt box, and filled it with salt from the barrel in Gebhard's room. It was unusual. That task was normally Barbara's job. Then Anna prepared coffee for Barbara and another maid. She gave the 5-month-old baby some milk and a cookie. All of it was laced with arsenic. Anna even made a joke as she filled the salt cellars, saying she did it to bring luck to those she left behind. When the coach arrived to take her away, Justice Gebhard, still believing in her innocence, invited her for a cup of chocolate before she departed. She took a tender farewell of the child. She said her goodbyes to the servants. And then Anna Zwanziger drove away. 15 minutes later, chaos erupted in the Gebhard household. The baby began screaming and convulsing. The servants who'd drunk the coffee collapsed in pain. Gebhard himself, who'd shared the chocolate, fell violently ill. The servants immediately declared their suspicions. Barbara remembered Anna filling the salt cellars. When they checked the salt barrel, they found it heavily contaminated with arsenic. But here's what's truly disturbing. Justice Gebhard, even with this evidence, still couldn't bring himself to believe Anna was guilty. He was so completely deceived by her that he waited an entire month before finally reporting her to the police. An entire month. Meanwhile, Anna traveled onward, completely confident she'd never be caught. While Justice Gebhard hesitated, Anna Zwanziger acted as if she hadn't a care in the world. She wrote to Gebhard expressing her certainty that the baby would be so unhappy without her that he'd be forced to call her back. She stayed nearby for days, waiting for that summons. It never came. As she traveled, she found that wherever she went, people had heard the rumors. No one would take her in. Finally, desperate, she went to her own daughter's house in Franconia. What she found there was devastating. Her daughter was in jail. Her son-in-law had divorced her and was about to remarry. He turned Anna away. She was alone, desperate, running out of options. On October 16, 1809, more than a month after the poisonings, Justice Gebhard finally filed a report with police. Authorities discovered that Nanette Schönleben was actually Anna Zwanziger, widow of the notary, and that she'd changed her name to escape her past. When they arrested her and searched her belongings, they found 2 packets of arsenic in her possession. She'd been carrying her truest friend with her all along. Police immediately ordered the exhumation of her previous victims. Frau Glaser's body was examined. High levels of arsenic were found in her remains. The evidence was overwhelming, but Anna Zwanziger denied everything. Anna Zwanziger's trial began on April 16, 1810, 6 months after her arrest. She maintained her innocence. She was a pious woman, a devoted servant. How could anyone accuse her of such monstrous crimes? But then the forensic evidence was presented. Arsenic in Frau Glaser's body, arsenic in Groman's remains, arsenic in Frau Gebhard, arsenic in the salt, arsenic in her possession. Confronted with this irrefutable proof, Anna finally broke down. She confessed to poisoning Frau Glaser twice. The moment the words left her mouth, she collapsed to the ground as if shot, falling into violent convulsions. She had to be carried from the courtroom. During her imprisonment, Anna wrote an autobiography. In it, she revealed the depths of her twisted psychology. She described the power she felt from possessing arsenic, the thrill of watching people suffer, knowing she held their fate in her hands. She wrote about how she would poison people for the smallest offenses, a harsh word, a perceived slight, sometimes just because they annoyed her. When a packet of arsenic was placed before her in prison, witnesses reported that her eyes glistened with passionate desire to possess it. She was asked why she'd killed the baby. Her response was chilling. She'd poisoned the infant in hopes that his cries and illness would force Gebhard to call her back. Anna Zwanziger was sentenced to death by beheading. She was 51 years old. On September 17, 1811, Anna Margaretha Zwanziger was led to the scaffold in Nuremberg. She showed no remorse, no fear. She took leave of the sheriff and executioner with a courteous bow, as if she were simply leaving a social gathering. But her final words would echo through history. It is perhaps better for the community that I should die, as it would be impossible for me to give up the practice of poisoning people. Think about that. Even facing death, Anna Zwanziger admitted she was compelled to kill. She couldn't stop herself. Poisoning had become an addiction, one she knew she would never overcome. She'd killed at least 4 people, including an infant. She'd poisoned dozens more who survived through sheer luck, all with her truest friend, arsenic. The sword fell. Anna Zwanziger's reign of terror was over. Or was it? Before her execution, Anna had taken a particular liking to the lawyer who defended her. She made an unusual request. If permitted, she wanted to visit him from beyond the grave to give him demonstrative evidence of a future life. Whether that visit ever occurred, we'll never know. Anna Zwanziger's story raises disturbing questions that remain unanswered to this day. How many victims did she truly claim? Were there others before Frau Glaser that were never discovered? How did this seemingly frail, unattractive woman deceive so many educated, powerful men? And perhaps most unsettling, in her autobiography, she wrote that acquiring arsenic gave her a sense of power she'd never felt before. She reveled in it, loved it. What other Anna Zwanzigers walk among us today, waiting for their moment, carrying their own version of a truest friend? Some questions are better left unanswered. This has been a special investigative report. This was the true story of the German Brinvilliers. Good night.